I'm not getting the sense of dread and despair that you get in Scarborough. There are shops closing. The shopping centre here in Bridlington is doing really well. Here we are in Bridlington, a seaside town nestled between Scarborough and Hull. It's home to 35,000 residents and it's the biggest lobster port in all of Europe, and they manage to land 300 tonnes of lobster here every single year. Bridlington is attracting more and more tourists every year, and last year over 5 million tourists flocked to this place that also boasts more fish and chip shops in 1 square mile than anywhere else in the UK. But are things all are cracked up to be here? We came earlier in the year, and when I visited, we found over 30 closed and boarded up shops in the town centre. And I thought, well, that's not as bad as Scarborough. But are the cracks beginning to show? The first impressions when you arrive in Bridlington by train are very positive. Bridlington train station takes a great deal of pride in the place. We've got these floral decorations and flowers everywhere, and there's a definite sense of pride here. But as soon as you leave that train station, let's see what you get to see. Some work going on here, and just over there there's a retail unit which I can already see is closed, and it's the very first thing I can see. Let's go check it out. This is the very first thing you see when you get off the train. It's a 6,000 square foot retail unit that used to be operated by Bed Warehouse. It's long since been closed, but they're planning to convert this into a custom built new retail space. Now in this day and age, I'm asking you, what kind of operator will be able to fill this? Now this shop is on the outskirts of the town. It's quite a small retail unit, so if an independent retailer wants to take over this shop, they'll be able to qualify for business rate relief. So as we all know, Boots is scaling back its operations on the high street, and the first thing it's looking to do is take away any shops that are within 3 miles of another pharmacy. This one is very close to the one in the town centre, so where this one might stay with its lower business rates, the one in the town centre, with its proximity to this one, is almost certain to close. Watch this space. I mean, look at this shop. This is a really old vintage frontage. Unfortunately, it's been closed, and it was closed when we visited earlier in the year. But I don't think it's been closed that long, because the paper in the window is from January 2023. This is another empty unit, and we're directly across from the train station. We've not had to walk very far to find boarded up and empty shops. So we're only a few yards away from a train station. We've got a closed shop there. Really unfortunate one here. Pimlico's, which used to be a great garden and nursery shop. Sadly, it's been shut for quite a long time. Corky's, this was closed when we came here in the summer, and it's still closed. I'm imagining that one of the reasons is stiff competition from all the other fish and chip shops within this square mile. This Boots is less than a minute's walking distance from the other one that we've seen. So for sure, one of these is going to go. This place was closed in the summer and it's still shut. No operator has been able to fill this space. So here on the main high street we have a plethora of charity shops. We've got RSPCA here, over here we've got Age UK, and they're all benefiting from an 80% reduction in business rates. Just beyond those charity shops we have this massive double fronted venue that is shut and to let. But with its space and with its size, it's not going to appeal to any small independent, because they won't be entitled to any business rate relief if they start to operate in this store. And here we have Iceland, and as we all know, they're trying to retreat from the high street. So this, right in the centre of the high street, is likely to close very soon. This is a real sad one. This is Higginson's Bakery, and it's been here for a long time. And when we came in the summer, it was open and the place was packed. But sadly, as it says in the window, they've experienced really hard times through the pandemic, and now with the energy crisis, they couldn't afford to keep their doors open any longer. What a shame. And New Look is one of the latest casualties of the high street. This big store is open at the moment, but it's a huge retail space, so when this vanishes, what is going to fill its space? Another place to pick up your packages from the high street killer. The building here was Cushion Flex, but when they closed down, it's now been opened to an art room for the locals. That's a really good repurposing of the space. Walking through Bridlington's High Street, I'm not getting the sense of dread and despair that you get in Scarborough. And I just had one of the locals come up to me and say, check it out. So it's a great atmosphere here. There are shops closing, but you know, there's still people out here enjoying things. And this is by the main shopping centre. We've got a charity shop here, Forces Support, and we've got British Heart Foundation here, all benefiting from that 80% reduction in business rates. So I'm here on a Saturday and I'm in the middle of the shopping centre, and every single shop that I've got to so far is actually open. So the shopping centre here in Bridlington is doing really well. Here, just a stone's throw from the bus station, we have a cafe that's had to close, and right next door, a second-hand shop that's also closed and available to let. But who will take it over? Will you? Here, Kerry's Place, another fish and chip shop, had to close, undoubtedly, from the stiff competition they have in the area. And right next to the seafront, we've got one or two, maybe four, closed, boarded up shops that I can't really tell they've been open. They don't look like they've been open for quite some time. Wetherspoons, as you may or may not know, is also looking to scale down its operations, but judging from how popular this one is, this one's going to stay open. Here on the high street again, we've got two more charity shops, and the next to a shop that's closed down. This is the street, probably more than any other, that gives Bridlington a bad name. We've got these fire damaged properties that have been stood in this state for an incredibly long period of time now, even 10-20 years ago when I used to work here. And across the way, we've got a place that's been stood empty, and on the end, another place that's stood empty. So if you come down this street in Bridlington, you're going to get a whole different view of what things are like here. And just coming out from that row with all the fire damaged properties and the empty vacant shops, I've got another vacant shop here, and if I look across the road, I've got a one stop that's had to close. Really? I might have brought that up too soon, because this one stop has actually moved across the road to bigger premises, but that still leaves this empty unit vacant. This is a massive Boots that's on the high street, and this is a huge retail space. Now we know that Boots are scaling back their operation, and we also know that in short walking distance from here, there are two other Boots pharmacies at least. I think this one's going. Some of these places might be seasonal, but I'm here today on a Saturday, so you think it would open then? Shut. Now this boutique was closed when we visited in the summer, and its doors are still empty today. We're on a stretch now full of massive units that are empty. We've got one here, next to it another one here, and the big surprise is Shoe Zone. It was open in the summer, has now shut its doors. This behind me used to be Marks and Spencer's, but it's long since departed Bridlington High Street. And next to it, we've got a cafe that's had to shut its doors. What a shame. Anyway, Woolworths left our high street back in 2015, but lucky for Bridlington, Goodwin's stood in to take its place. Unlike Scarborough, one encouraging thing to get visitors into Bridlington town centre is you get your first hour free. Far from the other closed units and only directly facing the 1, 2, 3, 4 closed units across the road, there's another boarded up shop. And continuing down the high street, got a boarded up shop, followed by a boarded up shop, followed by a charity shop. It's a whole nother row of boarded up shops. Things are actually worse than they were when I visited in the summer. This shop was open back in the summer, but it's now to let. It's a small unit, so hopefully someone will take on the challenge and qualify for business rate relief in this unit. So behind me we've got a bank that's been closed for some time, next to two more big closed units. There's a whole stretch that's standing empty. And when we visited back in August to do our recon, this was the street that shocked me the most. We've got a closed unit here, a closed unit there, a closed unit further along, and the shocking thing is stood opposite 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more closed units. This is a whole street that is standing empty right in the centre of town.
They close a little bit early. This one closes about 4:30, the Jewellers.
Right, okay.
Monty's Models closed a little bit early today due to the weather.
And the sweet shop's closed because it's seasonal.
The sweet shop up there's closed because it's seasonal, yeah. It normally opens on a weekend if it's not raining and snowing.
But it is a particularly bad weekend this weekend.
It is, yeah.
So it has been raining all day, I can vouch for that. So it's not quite as bad as it looks on this stretch.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you very much.
And talking to Steve, it was very nice to get from a local's point of view that the architecture here is actually stunning. If you look up and don't just look at the boarded up shops, the architecture above has stood here for some time. So at the end of that stretch, where most shops are vacant, if you look across the road, we've got another shop unit that's empty. So on this stretch, this is the Jewellers, and this one closes early. It closes at 4:30. Well, must have closed early today because it's not 4:30 yet. And as I expect, some of these shops are shut because they're seasonal. What is nice in Bridlington is that there are some shops that are bucking the trend. We've got some local independents, they've got some really great shops. It's still worth coming down to Bridlington. There are some shops trying really hard for your attention. So we came to Bridlington today on a whim. We visited in August and we saw over 30 closed shops, and I thought to myself, the cracks are beginning to show. I came today expecting to find a lot more. There wasn't. We did find some more. We found 4 or 5 more closed shops. But the overall opinion here is that the shops are still thriving. There's plenty of independent traders. The retail units are that small that an independent can come in here and apply for business rate relief, and we could turn things around in Bridlington very quickly. Don't give up on Bridlington yet. This is the place to come for some shopping.
So come to Bridlington and enjoy its stunning beaches, rich history and iconic priory. Savour the many delights of the harbour and the nearby nature reserve. But while you're here, take a moment to stroll down the High Street, a place that proudly boasts more fish and chip shops per square mile than anywhere else in the UK. It might very well hold a similar record for its abundance of charity shops, but tucked in between these culinary and charitable havens, you'll find a community of resilient independent retailers who are calling out for your custom. These local businesses are the heartbeat of the town, and they deserve our support. Let's stand together and help them weather the storms of today, ensuring that they emerge stronger and more vibrant on the other side. Come to Bridlington, enjoy its treasures, and make a positive impact on the community.